My name is Eleanor Vance. I'm 32 years old, and I'm a financial analyst for a mid-sized investment firm in Boston. I'd just gotten home from work, still in my tailored suit, when I noticed the empty space in the antique jewelry box on my dresser. My grandmother's sapphire ring, the one she'd worn every day of her adult life and left to me with such specific instructions, was gone. My heart started to pound, a frantic drum against my ribs. I knew exactly where I'd left it, tucked away in its velvet slot after a recent appraisal. I called out for my parents, who were downstairs, the scent of my mom's pot roast filling the air. When they finally came up, my dad, Arthur, looked almost giddy. "Oh, that old thing," he chuckled, waving a dismissive hand. "Your mother and I sold it. For Bali. Can you believe it? We leave next week." The casualness in his voice, the beaming smile on my mother's face, felt like a physical blow. I stood there, rooted to the spot, trying to reconcile the gaping hole in my jewelry box with their cheerful faces. My grandmother's legacy, my future security, gone for a vacation. In that moment, something inside me snapped. I knew, with absolute certainty, that I couldn't stay. And when I left, everything changed. To understand the full weight of that moment, you need to know about the ring, and about my family. The ring wasn't just a piece of jewelry, it was a legacy. A deep, almost impossibly blue Ceylon sapphire, weighing over 5 carats, set in platinum with 2 baguette diamonds on either side. It had been in my mother's side of the family for generations, always passed down to the eldest granddaughter. My grandmother, Clara Vance, had been particularly close to me. She was a woman of quiet strength and impeccable taste, and she always said the sapphire was a reminder of resilience, of enduring beauty. When she passed away 5 years ago, her will was explicit: the ring was to be left to me, Eleanor Vance, and was to be kept safe, a nest egg for my future, should I ever need it. She even had it professionally appraised a year before her death, valuing it at $590,000. That appraisal document was tucked away in my fireproof safe, along with her will. My parents, on the other hand, had a very different relationship with money. My dad, Arthur, was a charming but perpetually optimistic entrepreneur whose ventures rarely panned out. My mom, Susan, enabled him, convinced that the next big idea was just around the corner. For as long as I could remember, our family finances had been a roller coaster. There were periods of relative comfort, followed by sudden, desperate pleas for help. As I grew older and started my career, their requests for loans became more frequent, more demanding. They never explicitly asked for money, not really. Instead, it would be a story about a car repair, an unexpected medical bill, or a can't-miss investment opportunity that just needed a little seed money. I always paid them back, of course, because I loved them. Or, I thought I did. I was their only child, and I felt a deep responsibility to ensure their comfort, even if it meant sacrificing some of my own. I lived in their house, paying a modest rent, partly to save money, and partly to be close to them, to help. It was a comfortable arrangement, or so I told myself. The sapphire ring, though, was sacred. It was the one thing I had explicitly told them was off-limits, a direct wish from my grandmother. But, how? I finally managed to ask, my voice a strained whisper. My mother, still beaming, pulled out her phone. "Oh, it was so easy, honey. Your father found this wonderful dealer online, Luxury Gems and Estates. They came right to the house, no fuss. We got a great price, too. Almost exactly what your grandmother said it was worth. And just think, no more worries about that old thing getting stolen or lost." She scrolled through her phone, showing me pictures of pristine beaches, lush rice paddies, and smiling people. "Look, we're staying in a villa with a private infinity pool. And we're doing a cooking class, and a yoga retreat." Her voice trailed off as she finally looked at my face, the smile faltering slightly. My dad, however, seemed oblivious. "It's an investment in our mental health, Elle. You're always working so hard, you should understand that. We've been under so much stress lately, with the market and all." He gestured vaguely, as if the global economy was personally impacting his ability to relax. I felt a cold dread spread through me. They didn't see it as stealing, they saw it as cashing in on an asset that was somehow theirs. I retreated to my room, the pot roast smell now nauseating. My mind, usually so precise with numbers and projections, was a whirlwind of disbelief and anger. I pulled out my laptop and immediately searched for luxury gems and estates. The website looked legitimate enough, sleek and professional. I found an email address and a contact number, but no physical address. S was prominently displayed. My financial analyst brain kicked in, despite the emotional turmoil. This was a transaction, a sale of a high-value asset. There had to be paperwork. A bill of sale, a transfer of ownership. I called the number, feigning interest in selling an inherited watch. The person on the other end was smooth, almost too smooth. They offered to send a representative to my home for an appraisal, emphasizing discretion and speed. No need for banks or lengthy processes, they said. We handle everything in-house. That detail mattered later. The next morning, I tried to confront them again, more calmly this time. Mom, Dad, that ring was not yours to sell. Grandma Clara left it to me. It was for my future, not your vacation. My mom's face hardened. Eleanor, don't be dramatic. We're your parents. Everything we have is yours, and everything you have is ours. It's family. Besides, that money was just sitting there. We put it to good use. You make plenty of money, you don't need nearly $600,000 just gathering dust. My dad chimed in, we'll pay you back, eventually. When my next venture takes off. Consider it an advance on your inheritance. An advance on my inheritance? They had sold my inheritance for their vacation, and now it was an advance. The sheer audacity was breathtaking. I looked at their faces, seeing not the loving parents I thought I knew, but two people who saw me as an endless resource, a piggy bank with a pulse. It was then I recognized the pattern, clear as day. Every loan, every favor, every family emergency had been a subtle form of extraction, chipping away at my resources, my boundaries, my sense of self. This wasn't just about a ring, it was about their complete lack of respect for me as an individual. I spent the next few days in a fog, going through the motions at work, my mind constantly replaying their words, their smiles, the empty space in my jewelry box. I pulled out my grandmother's will and the appraisal document. The will was ironclad, specifically bequeathing the ring to me. The appraisal, dated 4 years ago, confirmed the $590,000 value. I also found old photographs of my grandmother wearing the ring, clear enough to show its unique characteristics. I compiled everything into a digital folder, along with screenshots of the Luxury Gems and Estates website. I knew suing my parents would be emotionally devastating and legally complex, but I needed to understand my options. I discreetly reached out to a lawyer friend, Sarah, specializing in estate law. She advised me that while it was a clear case of conversion of property, pursuing it legally against family could be protracted and painful. The best leverage you have, she'd said, is the threat and the ability to walk away. That conversation solidified my resolve. The ring wasn't coming back. The money was gone, probably already spent on travel bookings and luxury accommodation. But what I could reclaim was my life. I started looking for apartments in earnest, not just casually browsing. I found a small but bright one-bedroom in a neighborhood close to work, signed the lease, and paid the deposit, all without telling my parents. I also quietly transferred all my savings into a new account at a different bank, changed my passwords for everything, and updated my emergency contacts to exclude them. I even changed the beneficiaries on my life insurance and retirement accounts. It felt cold, calculated, but necessary. They had shown me their true colors, and I had to protect myself. The deep blue of the sapphire, once a symbol of enduring family legacy, now felt like a cold, hard stone of betrayal. The day before their flight to Bali, I decided to act. I waited until they were both home, packing their suitcases, their excitement palpable. I walked into the living room, a small overnight bag packed with essentials beside me, and placed a neatly printed folder on the coffee table. "Mom, Dad," I began, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. "We need to talk. About the ring." My dad sighed, already dismissive. "Eleanor, we've been over this. It's done. Let's just move on." My mom nodded, looking annoyed. "Don't ruin our trip, honey." "You already ruined something," I said, my gaze unwavering. "You sold my inheritance, a family heirloom that was explicitly left to me, for your vacation. That ring was worth $590,000. And you took it." I opened the folder, revealing the appraisal, the will, and the photos. "This isn't family money. This is theft. And I'm not going to let it go." My parents' faces finally lost their smiles. My dad's jaw tightened. "Theft? Eleanor, how dare you? We raised you. Everything we have is yours. It's a temporary loan." My mom started to cry, a familiar tactic. "How can you say such awful things to us? Your own parents. We just wanted a little break, we work so hard." "You haven't worked in months, Dad," I countered, cutting through the drama. "And your work is managing Dad's failed ventures. I've been supporting you both for years. This isn't a loan, it's the culmination of years of financial exploitation. And I'm done." I took a deep breath. "I've spoken to a lawyer. I have all the documentation. If you do not provide me with a repayment plan for the full $590,000, with interest, within 30 days, I will be filing a lawsuit for conversion of property and breach of fiduciary duty. And I will be moving out tonight." I gestured to my bag. "I have a new apartment. I will no longer be providing any financial support, or any support of any kind, until this is resolved." The silence that followed was deafening. My mother's sobs stopped abruptly. My father's face, usually so animated, was pale and slack. They stared at me as if I had grown a second head. "You're leaving?" my mother whispered, her voice laced with disbelief and a hint of panic. "You're going to sue your own parents? For a ring?" "For my future," I corrected her. "For my boundaries. For the respect you never showed me." I picked up my bag. "My lawyer will be in touch. Enjoy Bali." I walked out of that house, leaving them stunned amidst their half-packed suitcases and dreams of an exotic getaway. The door clicked shut behind me, not with a bang, but with a quiet finality that echoed in the empty space they had created. The immediate aftermath was a whirlwind of angry texts, tearful voicemails, and calls from confused relatives my parents had undoubtedly contacted to paint me as the ungrateful villain. I ignored most of it, responding only to affirm my stance. The demand for repayment stood. I moved into my new apartment, a small space filled with boxes, but also with an overwhelming sense of peace. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't constantly worried about my parents' next financial crisis. I wasn't fielding their subtle hints for money or feeling guilty for not offering more. They did go to Bali. I saw the endless stream of carefully curated photos on social media, looking every bit the carefree, wealthy travelers. It stung, seeing them enjoy the fruits of their betrayal, but it also solidified my decision. My lawyer sent them a formal demand letter. They responded through their own lawyer, denying any wrongdoing and offering a paltry sum as a goodwill gesture, which I immediately rejected. The legal battle would be long and arduous, and I knew it might never fully recover the money. But the threat alone was enough to create distance. They never came to my new apartment. They stopped calling, their anger outweighing their need for my resources, for now. My relationship with them, and with certain family members who sided with them, was irrevocably broken. But everything else had changed too. My finances, once intertwined with their instability, were now entirely my own. My career, which I'd often held back from fully pursuing to stay available for them, suddenly had no limits. My confidence blossomed. I started dating again, investing in myself, and making decisions based purely on what was best for me. One evening, unpacking a box of keepsakes, I found a small, velvet-lined jewelry box. It was empty, of course. The deep blue sapphire, a symbol of my grandmother's love and my family's legacy, was gone. But as I held the empty box, I realized it no longer represented a loss. It represented a boundary. It was the price of my freedom, the catalyst that forced me to finally leave. And in the quiet solitude of my new apartment, I finally understood that some things, like self-respect, are far more valuable than any jewel.